tighter an election is, the more the result comes down to individual seats. The problem is individual seat polling is notoriously unreliable. It gets hard to get large enough sample sizes. YouGov, which is responsible for Newspoll, has what it believes is a solution. It's conducted a massive nationwide opinion poll, nearly 19,000 Australians surveyed across 151 seats. While it's not a lot of voters per seat, about 125, YouGov uses data from across the country to make sure all groups are represented in each seat, essentially blending data and getting all elements of age, gender, income, education, religion, etc. Now, it could still be problematic given the very different experiences of COVID-19 over the past couple of years, which can vary seat by seat and state by state. But it's an exercise that gives the best possible snapshot, at least for now, of seats across the country. We'll see how it works post-election, but let's have a look at those numbers right now, beginning with some seats that are set to stay in coalition hands. So we'll take a look at Mackellar first of all. This is one under threat from the independents. So you can see Sophie Scamps's vote here of 23%. The general rule on these independent seats, if you see the Liberal Party on 45% or above, they're tracking pretty well. This primary vote of Sophie Scamps's not really going to be enough, unlikely. If we have a look at that on a two-party preferred basis, Jason Falinski, whose vote has come down from 53 to 45 on two-party preferred, is likely to be okay on those particular numbers. So if we bring up that two-party preferred on Mackellar and see what this primary actually results in, not sure if we've got a particular issue here, we can see Jason Falinski there getting 53 to 47. So that part, good news for the Liberal Party. North Sydney, this is another one on a relatively big margin. So looking at the primary here, again, so 45's the key. Is Trent Zimmerman in trouble? Well, it goes a bit beyond that because Labor's finishing second clearly on that, and Kylie Tink's primary not enough to challenge. What that means is once Labor is finishing second, they don't get as many preferences from the independents as the other way around. So that primary doesn't put Kylie Tink in. How much can Catherine Renshaw rely on the Greens? Pretty reliably, but not as much on Kylie Tink. So putting that out to two-party preferred and how that looks in North Sydney, you're actually seeing Trent Zimmerman in a relatively good position. Looks, this is still pretty tight. We're talking about within the margin of error, but it's 53-47. Page, another one. Now, this one was a big margin. We're talking nearly 60-40 last time around on two-party preferred. You can see Kevin Hogan on 37. Now, his vote there down more than 12%, so that's massive. The Greens would be the challenger, albeit you've got an interesting independent candidate there as well. But Labor's vote is up 6%. Is this enough? We've got Pauline Hanson's One Nation helping Kevin Hogan. This result is tight when we look at on a two-party preferred basis, and it shows that this seat of Page a few weeks ago wasn't in play, but now it is. But we still have a lead there for Kevin Hogan, 52 to 48. Wentworth, this seat was really thought of as in big danger 3 months ago. Dave Sharma at 48%. Again, remember that 45%, that rough guide for Liberals trying to fend off independents. That puts him in relatively safe territory. Last time around, Dave Sharma got 47.4, so a slight uptick. What you're not seeing is Allegra Spender unable to match Karen Phelps in that particular seat. So she was 32%, she's gone down. As a result, when we look at two-party preferred, Dave Sharma, last time around, you can see the margin was 1.3%. He's actually looking a little bit better this time around on 56-44. So that seat looking particularly good. Where it's not for the Liberal Party, one of those seats is GOLDSTEIN. Now, last time around, Tim Wilson polled 52.5%. So this is a big knock to his primary. And again, below 45 gets him to be in the danger zone. Zoe Daniel just ahead of Labor, but that's important. You're going to get them helped out. Zoe Daniel will get helped out by the Greens. We're talking about climate being a big factor for her vote, and that will get her ahead of Labor. So how does that all play out in the two-party preferred? It's problematic for Tim Wilson. So we're having a look at this seat. Last time, a huge margin to Tim Wilson. Right now, it's within margin of error, but he's trailing Zoe Daniels in that seat. And then Kooyong, massive watch on this. The Treasurer's seat, of course. Again, look at the primary, well below that sort of trouble mark of 45%, down at 38, and that's a huge drop-off. He had nearly 50% of the vote last time, Josh Frydenberg. So in terms of how those preferences flow out there, Monique Ryan, by the way, on roughly 28. We don't know if there are some others there, if you like, but how that plays out two-party preferred. Josh Frydenberg's 38% would be a bit too low, 47 to 53. Look, that is a relatively comfortable margin if it plays out. I think the seat's still in play, given the sort of warnings about this polling, but that's more trouble for the Liberal Party. Boothby, the final one. This is a very small margin, 1.3% at the moment to the Liberal Party. We're seeing changes again on the primary is the concern here. If you see Labor at 38 and you add the Greens' preferences, they're going to flow about 80% to Labor. You get Labor right on the cusp of taking the seat. And Joe Dyer, remember, is a left-leaning independent. So on this primary, you'd see the seat go over back to the Labor Party. So we're seeing that out on the two-party preferred, remembering it's coming from a margin of only 1.4%, and you see again 47 to 53. So 3 seats to go already, just on those numbers. We'll have more seats that will be released tomorrow in this YouGov news poll. This type of polling hasn't been done before in Australia. This was something done in the UK that proved accurate. We'll see whether or not that does play out.